Oh, hey guys, it's your girl, Little Miss. Sonic Unleashed is a very special game. It's the last mainline Sonic game to use the 4Kids cast. It was the first 3D boost game, the game notorious for being too impressive for 7th gen hardware, among many other things. It was full of personality and style, although it had issues here and there. Sonic 06 was still pretty recent at the time, so despite Unleashed being a course correction, it unfortunately wasn't immune to criticism, some warranted and some not. Now recently, people have been switching up on this game, praising it to high heaven, but it was still pretty inaccessible for the longest time. Until now, that is. Well, I say now, but I mean like months ago because I'm extremely late to the party. A group of fans found a way to decompile Xbox 360 games just to make a PC port for Sonic Unleashed. This kind of crazy breakthrough is a testament to just how insanely talented the Sonic community is, and it's hilarious that Sega lost the opportunity for easy money by remastering it themselves. And this port is really neat, featuring a ton of quality of life improvements. Really, it's nice to have a perfectly optimized port of Sonic Unleashed so I can judge it fairly. So, I guess we're doing this. Without further ado, here's Sonic Unleashed! And since Sonic won the poll, I guess this is also the first of many Sonic videos, so here's a little special intro for that. CGI cutscenes have always been in the Sonic series since 1998, but here's where they've looked their absolute best. This opening feels like a short film. It looks like it's from a big budget Hollywood movie. Well, one's from back then anyway, and that's a compliment. We open with a showcase of the status quo. Dr. Eggman commands his imposing egg fleet up in space until Sonic makes an incredibly raw entrance to stop him. The choreography is amazing. Sonic is boosting around, dismantling these robots with a stellar display of squash and stretch and slow motion. My favorite bits of animation is when he boosts forward, punching through this line of egg fighters and this cute little cartoony run. So now Eggman gets the upper hand, but Sonic summons the Chaos Emeralds to chase after him in his super form. The whole fight was revealed to be a setup to harness the Emerald's negative energy to fire a powerful laser at Earth, shattering it into pieces. This is probably the most heinous act Dr. Eggman has ever done. It's a super impressive feat for him, and the stakes are immediately raised sky high. Turns out the planet has an evil god of destruction and darkness stored inside known as Dark Gaia. Eggman's plan was to harness its power to finally create his dream dystopia, Eggman Land, but since Dark Gaia was awakened too early, he can't maintain his form for long, scattering across the earth. Some Dark Gaia energy made its way onto Sonic, transforming him into a furry. Well, we can't have that. Eggman, send him to Europe, thank you. Now we're back in the usual in-engine awkwardness with a pinch of motion capture. It feels so good to be back. So Sonic lands on the new character Chip, giving him amnesia. Sonic vows to help Chip regain his memories, and when the sun rises, Sonic is reverted back to normal. Afterward, the game puts us in the tutorial, so let's talk gameplay. Or at least 40% of it. As mentioned before, this is the first 3D boost game in the series, and it is insanely fun. Since this is by far the fastest Sonic game, it's all about reaction time. It's about how fast you can dodge obstacles and perform stylish feats. Sure, Sonic going fast with the push of a button makes the classic formula a thing of the past, but this game kinda keeps the same principles, sort of. The classic games had you handle momentum while platforming, and the reward was keeping your speed, which was pretty satisfying. satisfying. Sonic Unleashed makes you test your reaction time, and the better you do so, the more speed you'll retain and the higher your rank will be at the end of the level. And both the classic and boost games may have new players fuck up their first tries when tackling a new level, but practice makes perfect. The ranking system in this game is based on overall score, so it takes everything into account, time, rings, and all. This is a far superior ranking system than, say, Generations, since the only S rank requirement there is to, not die. A deviation from the other boost games is that the square button is the boost, air dash, and homing attack, which is really weird. They fixed this in other games, but here if you want to air dash you better hope your energy bar is empty and there's nothing homing attackable nearby. They really should have had the air dash map to the jump button like in Generations or something. Besides that, the moveset is what you'd expect. Boosting, homing attacking, quick stepping, stomping, sliding, light speed dashing, trick system-ing, and drifting. And they're all put to good use with each stage utilizing every move once you unlock them. Yeah, you have to unlock Sonic's moves, and I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Part of me says it's fine since it's a neat way to introduce these mechanics to new players slowly, and revisiting a stage with a new ability is somewhat interesting to collect stuff. But I've been playing Sonic games for a long ass time, so I know how to stomp, Sega. Anyway, a difference I actually think is great is the trick system. Generations and Frontiers had you abuse the left stick like a Minecraft YouTuber to a miner when performing tricks, but Unleashed has you perform a QuickTime event. QuickTime events have always been divisive, but if you know me, I love me some RE4 and God of War, so I think the QuickTime events give this game its own identity while adding an extra challenge, especially in later levels. My only complaint here is that the shoulder button prompts are easy to mess up due to them looking very similar. I didn't know if this was worth complaining over, but if someone cared enough to make a mod that fixes it, it's probably a very common complaint. There's also these special panels which follow the same principle. Press the button on time to land, and the tornado defense levels, which are nice and by far the best tornado levels in the series. But in my opinion, 2 levels aren't enough to warrant their inclusion. Another good difference is the ability to wall jump wherever you want. The later games only relegate it to specific areas, but you can wall jump on pretty much any wall you want here. It makes the wall jump feel more like an actual skill we can use instead of a context-sensitive occasion. This kinda also implies to swinging on poles. Here we have more freedom than Generations, being able to swing forwards or upwards with proper timing. And this first level is incredible. Every area in the game is inspired by a real-world location, with Apotos taking notes from Greece. White architecture, windmills, pelicans, ice cream guy, and a great view of the ocean as we roll around at the speed of sound. The inspiration goes even further with the music. With each region, Tomoyo Otani used instruments, mainly percussion, native to their IRL counterparts. Windmill Isle has prominent violins, guitars, and accordions all tied together with some blood-pulsing percussion. As someone who spent 7 years in band class throughout middle and high school, I have a very special appreciation for the music in video games, if you couldn't already tell from my other videos. So I adore the lengths they went to make the music truly feel as diverse as the world is trying to paint. And while we're on the topic of music, the night theme takes the same instruments as the day themes, but with a more focused and quieter feeling. Yeah, you all know at this point that the battle music is repetitive and disruptive, and it prevents you from listening to the better tracks, so thank God we can turn it off in the PC port. Back to the controls, the only problem I have is Sonic's walking. This isn't a Sonic Unleashed exclusive issue, but Sonic's walking control is complete ass. It's not a game-breaking issue, and it's slightly worse in Generations, but it's just a little awkward, especially in the level select areas where you're meant to slow down a little bit. This issue also bleeds its way into the stomp since it can sometimes make you slide, making this button and Cool Edge kind of annoying, for example. If the next boost game has the speed from Unleashed, the smooth ground control from Shadow Generations, the bounce bracelet, air dash, double jump, and light speed dash, we'd have a perfect boost game, and also redesign the characters. Sorry, I couldn't help myself there. So now we're in the hub world, and I really like the world building in this game. As mentioned before, each area is based on a real life location, complete with human NPCs. Humans in Sonic games have been a debated topic for years, and I'm of the opinion that humans have always belonged in this world. I was happy with the way Tails Tube went along explaining it, so I'll just let them explain.
What you can't see from orbit are all the islands dotting the oceans. There's a bajillion of them. I'm originally from Westside Island, which is where Sonic and I first met. Folks like us usually live on these kind of islands, while people like this live in the bigger countries.
Wow, you really covered it, buddy.
However, the human style is not my favorite. I think the best human style in this series is the more modern anime-esque approach, but with that said, there's a handful of designs I really love. Like, I really like the Ice Cream Man, Professor Pickle, his assistant. I hate Elio, though. Look at him, he's stupid. I hate him!
Looks like things have gotten pretty ugly.
Honestly, this cutscene right here is such a vibe. The Ice Cream Man is chill as hell, and so are the other humans. They couldn't care less about the planet being chopped into pieces unless they're possessed by Dark Gaia, which we'll get to later. It's a shame the middle chunk of this game doesn't have much cutscenes, because the story they're telling towards the end would have maybe been a little more impactful if we got to see more of this. I think the limited cast compared to previous games definitely benefits the journey, even if the limited cast was indeed a byproduct of Sega giving into the demands of what I can only describe as Sonic the Hedgehog grifters. But I still can't help but think, what the hell was everyone doing during this crisis? Like, what's Knuckles up to? Or Gun? But that's whatever, I still like the simpler story. The presentation is also on point. This game looks much better than most modern titles. Besides maybe the humans, everything here is very well animated, including Sonic himself. I love his running animation where he clenches his fists making an effort to plow forward. The facial animation, well, not the level of stiffness later games have, are pretty subdued, but it still conveys enough emotion so the characters come off as, well, characters. And while I don't consider Jason Griffith my favorite Sonic voice, I think he sounds pretty nice here. He brings a relaxed energy to the role, making Sonic feel a little more mature than the other iterations.
What do you figure that was all about? The hair and those arms and look at the Chaos Emeralds!
I also said before that this Sonic model has pretty much overstayed his welcome, but this is the second game to use it, so he actually looks pretty cute here. Oh god, they've been using the same Sonic model for 20 years. Now, these are all very minor, but I'm a Sonic fan. I know not to take this shit for granted. And as you might have already noticed, yes, I am using mods, but these are purely visual touch-ups here and there. No major gameplay overhauls. I'll link the Game Banana pages in the description for some proper credit. But anyway, I do think some aspects of the cutscenes are pretty dumb. I could point out the obvious use of motion capture and how it's super unfitting for the animal characters, but my main problem is Chip. For the most part, the story's presentation is pretty endearing, but Chip's antics are the only times the game dips into stupid preschool show Sonic Colors cringe. Take this scene for instance. Sonic and Tails are trying to listen to Professor Pickle's exposition, and Chip is being incredibly distracting. I also think his voice is pretty stupid. The way the story portrays him, he's supposed to feel like a confused little child who travels the world with Sonic in hopes of curing his amnesia, but he sounds like a grown-ass man.
Yup, I remember something falling from the sky, and everything just going all white. And then nothing. I can't remember a thing past that.
No wonder they replaced him with Hatsune Miku. So anyway, Sonic has no luck finding anyone who knows Chip, but they continue to search even when the sun sets. Oh boy, here we go. The night has you traverse longer, slower stages that act more like a hack and slash platformer. You'll find yourself going into combat sections and occasionally operating buttons and levers to open doors, as well as light platforming. The Werehog stages and the concept of the Werehog itself has been pretty debated over time, and I have some opinions of my own. Oh yes, I do. For one, even if this was a byproduct of the unfair criticism of Sonic's annoying friends, like this would have been perfect for Knuckles, I still think it's kind of weird to turn Sonic into a werewolf. After 06, you'd think they'd course correct as hard as they could, but even so, we have this. However, I think the Werehog is pretty neat. His design is excellent. I love his fluffiness, his large snoot, his claws, his spiky cleats, the prominent chest, those fangs. It's all pretty sexy. He's also very well animated. I love his posture, his all fours running animation, his victory poses, his stretchy arms, which have no in-universe justification, but fuck it. He feels like an entirely different beast than the familiar blue pincushion we're used to. I also think the platforming is pretty alright. Grabbing onto ledges and swinging around feels pretty reliable, and if you time it correctly, you can press the jump button after a grapple to maintain your speed, which feels pretty nice. I also think picking up objects feels decent. You can speed it up by holding down R2. I already mentioned I love the all fours running animation, and the trade-off for this speed is the lower jumping and harder turning, which feels fair. My main issue with the Werehog is that it's an obvious attempt to mimic God of War. Now, conceptually, this isn't a bad idea. You guys know I love God of War, and if done right, this would have been pretty fun. But to me, Sega completely missed the mark, ignoring what made God of War so satisfying. So I replayed the first game from 2005 to compare it. Originally, I thought this would be too mean, but at the end of the day, I get it. I'm judging it on what it's trying to be. So without further ado, here's what God of War excels at that Unleashed could have taken notes from. Most of the Werehog's issues lie with the combat. In God of War, the combat is easily the best part of that game. Simply jabbing with the Blades of Chaos is just so fast and snappy, and you can transition into a combo easily. Everything just has a more kinetic feel to it. If Sonic was as snappy as Kratos, the combat would already feel great, but the way it is now, he feels so clunky and slow thanks to input delay, which also makes these doors in Windmill Isle annoying to break. Do yourself a favor and just double triangle, double square instead. Kratos' parry ability also feels really satisfying if you pull it off correctly, and you have the option to simply evade with the right stick. The Werehog can block too, but for some reason it's limited, which is very weird. You can also dodge, done by shielding, moving, and pressing the jump button all at the same time. The odd input mixed with the fact that you never need this in the early game makes it fuck you over for when you actually need it later. Another thing they would have benefited from is magic abilities. Throughout the story, Kratos is granted these abilities, each doing something different: electrifying the arena, shooting lightning projectiles, summoning the souls of the damned to give you a helping hand, etc. They help spice up the combat, with them depleting your magic meter, which can be refilled with blue orbs found in treasure chests. The orb system is much better than the Werehog's way of doing things, with green, blue, and red orbs replenishing your health, magic, and weapon upgrades respectively. The Werehog does have these power-ups, but they only strengthen attack and defense momentarily. Look, all I'm saying is if Daytime Sonic can unlock new abilities with each stage, then the Werehog could be granted the elemental shields, now repurposed to activate a power of your choosing tied to its own meter. But that's more of a suggestion if anything. I mean, it'd be cool if it was an actual thing, right? But anyway, there's still orbs, but they only replenish your Unleash meter, which is basically Sonic's rage ability. As for health, you replenish it by collecting rings, which makes sense, but I don't know, God of War's way just feels more logical to me. Speaking of Unleash, it makes you faster and stronger, but my issue with it is that you can't turn it off, which, hey, look at that, you can turn it off in God of War. Not in the first game, but in the second game, which was released 1 year before this one, you can upgrade Sonic's moves by picking up skill points earned by killing enemies. Daytime Sonic's only upgradable attributes are his speed and ring energy bar. Neither of these matter all that much, but occasionally you'll probably want to upgrade the energy bar. As for the Werehog, you can upgrade his combos, attack strength, health, shield bar, and his Unleash meter. And more often than not, you'll want to pour everything into health, maybe shield, combat, and definitely strength. See, a good combat system must also have good enemy variety to force the player to engage in the combat in interesting and smart ways. God of War has a plethora of enemy types that each behave differently from each other. But in Sonic Unleashed, more often than not, you're just going to be fighting the egg fighters, these things, these small things, these big things, which are literally just God of War Cyclops, and occasionally the Grand Wizards. And no, they don't force you to engage with the combat in interesting ways, they just flop around like idiots while you claw at them. This makes the dodge even more useless, and the difficulty spike feels artificial since the way it gets harder is that the enemies get stronger. It feels less like the game gets challenging in a fun way, and more like, fuck, this game is beating my ass! In God of War, the only upgrade system where you pour your shit into something is with the strength, and there's separate collectibles that enlarge your health and magic meters. In Unleashed, you have to split it 6 different ways, and since strength is the most important, you'll find yourself pouring everything into that, resulting in the most brain-dead combat system where you're just button mashing and spamming the same easy combos. And while the quick time events are nice, they can get old pretty quickly. They could have at least come up with something a little more creative than throwing each enemy to the ground or alternate animations every now and then. They don't have to be God of War levels of gore, but like, you know, just give me something different. different every time. The enemies also take way too long to die. Their death animation will be interrupted if you so much as breathe near them, so you have to stop fighting for a split second. And while I praised the platforming earlier, out of all the things Sega pulled from God of War, they just had to bring in balancing on a tightrope. It was also stupid in God of War, but at least they didn't move the camera as much so you wouldn't screw up as often. They move it a lot here, which can get really annoying. Oh, and speaking of platforming, look at that. No drop shadow. This really fucks with the depth perception, and it's literally the bare minimum for a 3D platformer. I mean, just look at any Mario game or Astrobot, Crash 4, even the adventure games had one. But Unleashed doesn't, so I hope you're prepared to hear this a lot.
Want some chocolate?
So now Tails is here, and he's done pretty dirty in this game. His introduction has him act like a total pussy before he joins Sonic's World Adventure. While he does help Sonic on his quest, he takes a very passive role in the plot, slowly disappearing throughout the game. I also never really liked his 4Kids voice, so there's that.
Sonic, is that really you?
Anyway, he tells us he knows someone who may know more about the planet splitting apart, so we hop onto the tornado to fly to Spagonia, a mix of European countries, mainly Italy. As such, it's home to the massive clock tower, brown rooftops, Elio, and Spagonia University. Let's take a peek inside, shall we?
What? Professor Pickle's been kidnapped?
Oh, I guess Spaghettiville will have to wait. Also, you're not fooling me, Jason Griffith. I know that's you.
It was a little bit before the tremors hit. This old man showed up with a whole pack of robots.
After we ask around town, and by ask around I mean talk to this one little girl, we find out our friend Professor Dill Pickles was taken to Missouri, the Africa level. It has the smallest village in the game with primitive huts and African tribespeople inhabiting the area. During the daytime, we can see it's got this orange hue to highlight the harsh sunlight, but now is not the time for day. This is getting annoying. I really don't have much to say for this level. It's more of the same as Windmill Isle, with the exceptions of the pushable boxes, turnable cranks, and the last enemy cluster being pretty claustrophobic with a seemingly endless barrage of egg fighters and no rings. Isn't this supposed to be a third world primitive African village anyway? Why is this part of the village so elaborate? But if anything, I really like the music in this level. It really captures the feeling of a nighttime romp through an African jungle. Whenever I listen to it, I just imagine the werehog swinging around on vines like Tarzan. Afterward, we meet Professor Pickle, the absent-minded, manuscript-deciphering, cucumber sandwich-eating, lovable nut. I said before that I really like his design, and I think he's pretty neat overall. He definitely needs to come back in a future game.
How dare they call this culinary concoction food? Look here, do you see this sorry excuse for a sandwich? The bread should be no less than 3/4 of an inch thick. Upon it, 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise and a pinch of black pepper. The contents, fresh cucumber, sliced thinly, if you please. Am I quite right, Tails?
This prison cell is very hospitable. No wonder Sonic was fine after 6 months of torture and forces. The torture in question was probably feeding him subpar chili dogs. Besides Chip's annoying antics I mentioned before, we take the professor back to Spagonia University with the Gaia manuscripts, and here's where we learn more about Dark Gaia. Every 1,000 years or so, Dark Gaia is meant to destroy the planet, but Eggman's hasty actions made Dark Gaia scatter his essence across the globe. In order to piece the world together and break free from Dark Gaia's influence, we must travel to each continent's temple and restore the power to the Chaos Emeralds. So now it's world map time, baby! Of course, a grand adventure across the globe has to have an easy means of travel. Besides me wishing the cursor wasn't so finicky, I think holding square to make the Earth rotate to change your destination's time is a really neat idea. I also think it's neat how the map and loading screens are within Tails' Steam Deck, so the UI is dark green and sleek. It's a neat detail. And I'd be an idiot to not mention the song in the background, The World Adventure, a beautiful orchestral piece performed by the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra. By far, it's gotta be one of the most fitting main themes in a Sonic game. So let's input our destination, shall we? And thankfully, it's Missouri during the daytime. Okay, Eggman, I know you're here for the Gaia Temple, but why are you randomly terrorizing the natives? This is a literal hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby situation.
All you need to do is tell me where the Temple of Gaia is.
We're not telling you anything!
I thought it was kind of funny.
What? Sonic!
Yo, Eggman! Thanks for that little skydiving adventure the other day.
I should have known you'd still be alive, you stubborn little hedgehog.
You didn't seem so surprised earlier. Anyway, it's boost time, baby! This level introduces drifting. I get how it works. You're meant to let go of the boost button while doing it, but it's still kind of annoying to deal with. Generations has a better drift, but the trade-off is that the animation isn't as cool. But the drifting is more of a problem later, so... yeah. But overall, this level is still pretty solid despite not being as good as the others in my opinion. The music is appropriately bouncy while keeping the African instruments to complement the electric guitar. The steady cabeza and rapid bongos backing up the melody gives off the feeling of a high-speed run through the African sands. Up next is the first boss fight, the Egg Beetle.
How'd you get here so quickly?
The fuck kind of question is that? Here we're dodging missiles, spiked bombs, and those pincers, all while running at top speed and quick-stepping as fast as we can. If you're skilled, you can find more openings to attack him with the boost, but it's mostly waiting to homing attack. Each daytime boss is against an Eggman mech in similar fashion to Egg Beetle, and they're all incredibly fun with each boss having a unique spin. Egg Devil Ray is more of the same, but it's easy to cheese, so somebody better call Wallace and Gromit. Egg Lancer is pretty challenging. It's gotta be my favorite daytime boss. It uses Egg Beetle's pincers and Egg Devil Ray's elemental attacks, and it uses really hard quick time events, so thumbs up. But anyway, after we give Eggman a devastating blow to his ego, we find the first temple, revive the first emerald, and put the first continent back in its place.
At this rate, you'll have the whole world back together in no time, Sonic.
A planet-sized jigsaw puzzle? Sounds like a great excuse to see the world.
So now we're back in Spagonia, and Amy's here along with the running joke of her mistaking other hedgehogs for Sonic, except she doesn't recognize him this time, leading her to believe that this is in fact not Sonic. It's kinda stupid that Sonic didn't just tell her that was him, but whatever, it's sad boy Sonic time, I guess. It's really weird how quickly they forget about this subplot, with the only two scenes of Sonic being ashamed of his new form being this one with Amy and this line earlier.
I just need to be careful who sees me like this.
Again, I think the game would have benefited from a little more cutscenes, and I think Amy could have used more screen time, because here's where she's the least annoying, and this is my favorite Amy voice by far.
Anyway, I'm really sorry. See you later.
But why are we back in Spagonia, you might ask? It's because the progression in this game is fucking dumb, that's why. After each level, you're meant to go back to Spagonia University and ask Professor Pickle what you should do next, with your destination being unlocked afterwards. This could have been handled a lot better in my opinion, like maybe Professor Pickle communicating to Sonic via Tails' Steam Deck and you simply go to each continent in a linear fashion like Mario Odyssey or something. I don't know, it's just tedious to go back to Spagonia and talk to the guy just to know what to do next. And don't even get me started on those sun and moon medals. Look, I'm all for a collectible requirement for accessing levels, but they ask a little too much of you. You need about 120 of these to reach the last level in the game, but to be fair, they're not that hard to find, with plenty of them being in the hub worlds in addition to levels and boss fights. Honestly, if you find yourself not having enough medals, just suck it up and replay the night stages, since those are meant for exploration. The game could have also benefited from earning medals at the ranking screen like the PS2 version, or maybe placing them like the red star rings, since those placements reward the faster and harder path, in generations at least. The next area is Alaska, inspired by northern Arctic regions like Alaska, Norway, and Greenland. There's little penguins, igloos, a cute snowman, and a humble family of Inuits in the hub world. The level select has us unlock the stomp, so now it's boosting time. I'm cool edging it, everyone! This is such a good level, featuring slippery ice physics, the bobsled, animal abuse. I do think it doesn't have the sense of scale or or as interesting level design as the others, but overall, pretty solid level. Thumbs up. The song doesn't do anything region specific, it's just a cool ice track, and yeah, it's one of the better songs, so I can't complain. Alright, what's next? Fuck. Well, it certainly is another nighttime level. The clock tower bit was good though. Well, now that's done, we finally see the effect Dark Gaia has on people. They fall into despair, but sometimes they just act like assholes.
Come on, babe, let's dance the night away.
While we make use of Chip's camera to exorcise Dark Gaia spawn from their hearts, which is basically timed combat challenges once we have the camera in the hub world. Well, that's pointless. I think now's a good time to talk about the extra content. After all, there's more ways to earn XP and even some sun and moon medals in our travels. Besides the stupid-ass exorcism missions, there's the hot dog challenges, which are essentially time trials and get 100 rings or beat 30 enemies, stuff like that. Apparently a lot of fans hate this guy, and I don't see why. The hot dog missions are whatever. Oh, what, is it because of the Eggman Land missions? They really can't be that bad. I want to kill myself. Oh, and by the way, I've just been informed that every other way of getting XP is useless since every breakable pot in Windmill Isle 1-2 gives you 1 chunk of XP. So just replay that level to your heart's content if you want to make Sonic truly undefeatable. You're welcome. Speaking of extra levels, there's a ton of DLC ones and they're insanely hard, but in a fun way. I didn't try most of the nighttime levels because I'm not a masochist, but the day ones are definitely worth it if you want an extra challenge. I especially love the base game levels with more traps and obstacles added. Inject this shit into my veins, please. And the bonus levels in the base game are also really neat. I didn't expect Chow rescue missions to be here, but that was a pleasant surprise. And lastly, some NPCs have side quests for us to do, which are just small sections from pre-existing levels. This would normally fall under the I don't give a fuck category, but here's where I can finally talk about my undying hatred for Elio. See, in Spagonia, these lovely shoe shop owners lose their fucking ugly ass Squidward tentacles looking kid, so the werehog volunteers to look for Elio, and we do so by climbing the clock tower again. How did he get up there so quickly? Is he Spider-Man? Does he have superpowers? My mind raced with possible explanations to this conundrum, but I think I finally figured it out. Elio is Dark Gaia in disguise. Think about it. Dark Gaia's head is horizontal, so of course no one would suspect a kid with a vertical head. Chip! Flashbang him!
Just now. Was that Sonic?
Ah, that should calm things down a bit around here. Chalk another one up for Sonic.
You know Sonic?
At this point, who doesn't know Sonic? Eggman blew up the moon, so if Eggman must be well known, so should the guy who stops Eggman on a 24/7 basis. The next area is Chunnan, literally just China. We unlock the wall jump in Spagonia, so we can make our way up this hill and get the air boost shoes, so now it's time for Dragon Road Day! Dragon Road Day! Why isn't this available yet? Dragon Road Night is stupid. Next. It's nighttime boss time, baby! In order to access the next temple, we gotta free this phoenix from Dark Gaia's influence. Every nighttime boss feels more like a traditional boss fight or a puzzle opposed to the high-speed chases of the day. The phoenix has you throw pots of water at it, making it safe to quick time event punch it in the balls. Seriously, the boss quick time events are much better than the usual ones. They're so brutal and dynamic, and Sonic looks really cool and sexy here. The Dark Moray, on the other hand, ugh. I hate this thing. First of all, it doesn't even look like a moray eel, it looks more like a dragon. Second, the fight itself is pretty annoying. You have to use these canisters to freeze the smaller eels and punch them so the big eel will become vulnerable. And you have to be constantly on the move unless you want to be a Sonic popsicle. Boy, I sure do hope this design where you have to take out the smaller guys to break the enemy shield doesn't come back later. because that would be really annoying. Meanwhile, Dark Guardian is just a joke. Hit him so he falls asleep, then push the boxes to get rid of the weird purple gunk in the back to do damage.
I know little girls who are better with a hammer than you. Well, one anyway.
This was back when they were trying to gaslight everyone into thinking Amy's a 12-year-old. I'm so glad they dropped that shit. So now that we've healed the Phoenix, we restore the second emerald and the second continent. We go back outside and meet up with the healed Phoenix in another cool and funny cutscene. I love Sonic getting annoyed at Chip as usual, and the way he reaches for him after he bumbles around is a nice detail. Also, the Chunnan village elder is here, and you aren't fooling me, Mike Pollock.
The moment the temple lit up, the beast woke up. It appears he's come back to his senses.
Speaking of Mike Pollock, Eggman is here with an unusually high-quality sandwich. I mean, if Sonic gets to have a delicious ice cream cone, I guess Eggman deserves a mouth-watering Italian sub. I mean, look at that thing. I'm hungry now. I think Eggman is done really well here. They actually call out his bumbling immaturity and ego thanks to SA-55, essentially a prototype Orbot. I like SA-55's attitude and role as Eggman's right hand, even if I do prefer Even if I do prefer Orbot. I cannot speak for the life of me. Like I said, Eggman's flaws are put into the spotlight, and I think it makes Eggman somewhat self-conscious. He does plan on finally building his passion project after all, so he really wants everything to go smoothly. From here on out, he just sends SA-55 to deal with Sonic, and he tries to harness Dark Gaia's energy to build Eggman Land. And the music is really loud here for some reason.
That'll take care of Sonic for now, which leaves the problem of Dark Gaia. It'd be difficult to collect every piece scattered all across the world.
Anyway, I neglected to mention Eggman's voice mainly because we all know and love Mike Pollock, is what I would say if he wasn't a piece of shit. Hashtag recast Eggman. Anyway, now it's time for Dragon Road Day! This level takes you from the Great Wall of China down to the red architecture, dashing across the waters and me pads below, hopping onto fireworks, running across a wooden dragon, and ending with a quick-stepping mini-boss. My only problem with this level would be the mini-boss section. It has Sonic slightly move in one direction instead of staying still, which kind of fucks things up. The one in Skyscraper Scamper doesn't have this issue, but other than that, Dragon Road Day rocks. And we can't forget about that delightfully Asian tune with a steady piano and graceful wind instruments as we boost through all this scenery. The big scary thing that emerged from the planet core? Well, it's obviously Dark Gaia, right? Oh, holy shit! Back in Spagonia, we have... Oh, hey, look at that! It's another daytime level. And it's the best level in the entire game, bar none. I don't think it's a hot take to say that Rooftop Run Day is awesome. It's the most popular stage in the game since they brought it back in Generations. But unlike the Generations version, this level has an unmatched sense of scale and wonder as Sonic boosts through these alleyways and rooftops of this massive, beautiful Italian city, bouncing on balloons, scaling the clock tower, grinding over houses as far as the eye can see, ending with a quick-stepping bit where you have to launch egg fighters at the egg chasers. That's actually their name, that's insane. 10 out of 10, no notes, one of the best levels in Sonic history. And of course, the music is amazing, but you already knew that. Next, we revive the third emerald and continent. Oh, we're really blasting through these, huh? So, what level is next? So, this level is an interesting one, with collapsing icicles and melting ice with these robots to open doorways. I like that the level starts under the night sky with Aurora Borealis before transitioning into this Uncharted 2 cave. The music gives off Sega Saturn/Dreamcast vibes for some reason, but it's fitting for this icy cave. But, of course, every night stage has some sort of special problem, with Cool Edge being no exception. While the flame bots are a neat idea, they aren't utilized very well. Melting ice is their only purpose, and they don't show up on any other level. There's also some odd collision physics with this wall of snow in particular. If you thought you could just pull yourself upward and shimmy across the wall, oops, I hope you like clipping through walls, it's soft lock time! And I know this one's a nitpick, trust me, I do, but this stage has no consistent way of opening doors. For example, door A has you melt the ice with the flame robot and then you flip the switch to open the door. Door B also has a switch next to it, but it activates fire to melt the ice. You have to push this button to open the door. This is just so baffling. Just pick one thing and stick with it. And this point kind of stands on its own, but I think the Werehog could have used some more movement options. You know, just to make the platforming slightly more fun. Like maybe a nerfed spin dash or an air dash. The slopes and icicles in this level just kind of make me wonder how the spin dash would operate with the Werehog levels, assuming the level design was tweaked for the inclusion. But anyway, after the dark eel lunged out and took a bite of our snout, we go to the next continent, Shamar. Shamar is inspired by Middle Eastern countries like Egypt and Saudi Arabia, so the town is a busy market street under the scorching sun. It also has my favorite hub music in the game besides Empire City Day. All the Shamar music uses steady clapping, strings, and a sassy saxophone to amplify the busy Middle Eastern streets. It's present in the day when we run across the crowded markets before making it to the ruins out of town, and it seems the citizens continue their hustle at night. The day theme specifically is such a bop. Almost every video game desert level under the sun get it? Makes the melody feel very barren and quiet, but Unleashed goes against the grain. Get it? By making it funky and cool. And thanks to my Southeast Asian boyfriend, my dumbass American brain noticed some Shamar NPCs mentioning the moon being highly important to them, which is a lot like the Islamic holy month Ramadan, which is a really neat detail. From here on out, Amy and Professor Pickle moved from Spagonia and settled at Shamar instead, for some reason. Going into the level select area gives us the lightspeed dash. It's about damn time, I love this thing. However, the stupid homing attack boost air dash button map thing means this jump must be very precise, lest you risk grabbing the ring trail meant to dash across or accidentally hitting the hourglass which changes the time of day. But negativity aside, I value my sanity, so let's play another day level. But first, let's jump with the spring directly above our heads because the animation that plays is really funny. This stage takes you from the crowded markets, dodging pedestrians and drifting around corners, all the way to the outskirts with bottomless pits, collapsing pillars, and rocks, which I suck at dodging. There's also plenty of cool shortcut opportunities utilizing every move in your kit now that we have everything unlocked. From here on out, the rest of the day stages ramp up the difficulty, and I say bring it on. The night stage is practically the same as the others, so out of fear of repeating myself, I'll just highlight the more important bits. For one, this level has my favorite night music in the game. That's really the only positive. This level brings back the Grand Wizards, but they bring back the Phoenix Fire gimmick where you have to throw these barrels of water to extinguish the flames. The aiming reticle can be pretty finicky at times, and overall it's just simpler to damage boost through the wizards and cool off in a nearby water pool before looking for rings. But that's just kind of whatever compared to my next problem. Right here, you're meant to scrounge around and look for 4 stones in order to open the door. For the most part, the placement of these stones are fine, they're really easy to find, but the blue one is hidden better than the others, so where is it? I mean, these stairs look kind of suspicious. I wonder what's up here. Yeah, this flight of stairs takes you to a completely unnecessary enemy cluster with no stone in sight. In reality, it's right here! Dear viewer, let me ask you something. If you're making a video game and a section requires you to find a blue object to open a door, does it make any sense to hide it in the fucking water? Man, at this point, I'm done with this fucking level. I'm not even gonna bother with the S rank.
Oh yeah, that's right, baby.
But I didn't even try. Do you smell that, Chip? It's Empire City, directly based on New York City, making it the second most evil location behind Eggman Land. The hub area is in Central Park, decorated with hot dog stands, gay people, a fountain, pigeons, Elio, another cozy hub world theme. And pro-homeless people benches, perfect for Sonic since he himself is homeless. But good thing he isn't depressed because this next stage will make you susceptible to jumping off tall buildings. While I don't really like the daytime theme, Skyscraper Scamper Night is really snazzy and chill, complete with muffled trumpets and finger snaps. It feels like something you'd hear in a black and white Hollywood movie from the 1950s. But other than that, this stage has really cheap obstacles like spiked beams that prevent you from moving along the sides. It also has the annoying inconsistent door thing from Cool Edge. Destroying the fuse box makes it so the electricity stops, but later on you pull a lever to do the same thing. The mini bosses have their own annoyances too, like mashing the X button to get back up after they club you, which can get interrupted if they do their dumbass shockwave attack. It fucked me over so much during this stage. Talk about low budget heights, I'm out of here. I like the day level better. Again, the boost levels are harder from here on out, so Skyscraper Scamper Day is a masterpiece. So many different shortcut opportunities, harder quick time events, the mini boss makes its return here, and all of this while running across the New York skyline. There's no NPCs in the background like Windmill Isle or Shamar, but it adds to the feeling of scale and height this level takes place in. And like I said before, the drift is straight up not that good in this game. Half of the time I don't even feel like taking the risk, so I just stop myself and take it slow during this corner. Speaking of, what's this road doing hundreds of stories above the ground with no guardrails or walls or anything? Am I supposed to assume the inhabitants of Empire City treat every day like it's their last, since a drive to work could potentially be fatal? Well, I'm goofing. This level is awesome. However, while this song definitely captures the scale well, it's definitely my most hated day level theme. Thankfully, the Recomp has this nifty feature that mutes the game when you're playing your own external audio, so let's hop on over to Firefox to play some tunes. Not that one. Oh yeah, now this is Kino! The last area is Atabat, a lovely seaside village inspired by Southeast Asian regions like the Philippines or Indonesia. I mean, what else do you want me to say about the night level? It's daytime time! It took me 120 sun medals to reach this damn level. Much like the other two levels before it, Jungle Joyride Day is another amazing, challenging level that utilizes every move in your kit extremely well. We start with a nice boardwalking, quick-stepping bit in the village before we run across the roofs of these huts and the ocean, as well as going into the jungle with ancient ruins and a big-ass waterfall. Not only is this level pretty tight to travel, but it's also pretty long. On average, you'll take like 3 minutes to beat each level, but Jungle Joyride is 5 minutes if you're skilled. And unlike Shadow Generation Space Colony Arc Act 1, there's no cutscenes, so it's all killer, no filler. The Atabat music utilizes Javanese percussion, most notably the kenong featured in the opening, as well as it keeping the pace steady with one note every 2 measures, it seems. It also uses a synth, which is a neat contrast to the kenong. The song itself kinda has an unwelcoming vibe to go with the difficulty and the fact that it's the second to last level in the game. It kinda gives me Kingdom Valley vibes from 06. And while I kinda glossed over the night level, the music there is great too. Also, I'm just glad I'm not playing on a PS3. I can't imagine having to play this stage when it's constantly dropping below 15 FPS. I tip my hat to Unleashed veterans out there, but as for me, I think I'll just sit here comfortably in 144 FPS land. But afterward, we make it to the penultimate Gaia temple.
What's wrong, buddy?
Huh? Oh, right. I'm just scared.
Scared? It's just another old temple. It doesn't look like there's anyone around either.
What? It's just an ordinary— oh my goodness! So after Chip is sent to an astral plane, he regains his memories, and soon after we have the best cutscene in the game.
My real name is Light Gaia. I draw power from the day and light and guide the planet to its rebirth. My job was to protect the planet from Dark Gaia.
I know I ragged on Chip's voice, but here, I think he actually sounds kinda pleasant. Eggman splitting the planet apart is what resulted in Light Gaia's amnesia, and he remarks that Sonic is too strong-willed to fall into Dark Gaia's corruption. If you ask me, this aspect of Sonic is pretty compelling, but I do kinda prefer Archie's take, where Sonic is more of an actual person and he needs his friends to help him out of it. But don't get me wrong, I look at this and I go, holy shit, 2 cakes! But here's the main reason why I said this game needed more cutscenes. This line right here.
It's been so fun getting to see the world. I've lived here since the planet began, but I didn't know a thing about it. That it's so pretty, or that food tastes so good, or that people are so nice. I'm so glad I got the chance to discover all that with you, and I'm so glad that you helped me find my memory.
Chip leaves to fulfill his duties, but Sonic won't let Chip go it alone because, in his words,
where do you think you're off to all by yourself?
What? But my memory is back now, and, well, from here on out, it's my responsibility, so, I mean, there's no reason for you to come along, so I should just...
Do I need a reason to want to help out a friend?
Thanks, Sonic. Yeah!
We only have one temple left, so we hop onto the tornado and go through the second QuickTime event level. The vibe blows Act 1 out of the water. The foreboding stormy clouds along with that ominous music makes this a perfect prelude to the grand finale. I remember during my first playthrough, I found myself tapping my foot and bobbing my head to this. It's so perfect. Once we land, Sonic and Chip can't reach the temple just yet since Eggman's built his Crimson Carnival on top of it. Eggman Land.
If you have any complaints, come deliver them to me in person. If you can, that is.
Ah, he's enjoying this way too much.
Sonic!
That was kind of funny.
So Eggman Land is the final level in the game, and personally, I think it's an absolute masterpiece. To start off, the aesthetic is super unique, being a fusion of the technological terrors of previous Eggman bases and a theme park. It kinda looks like Stardust Speedway Bad Future, but littered with carousels and merry-go-rounds. Shit, I think they might have reused some assets for gens. The music is also very fitting, completely made up of synths working together with a piano to complement all the oppressive machinery in the hope that Sonic can put a stop to this. And gameplay-wise, it's a masterclass in everything. It's the longest level in the game, and its runtime is spent brutally testing your skills. Rail grinding, quick time events, the bobsled, skydiving, a plethora of rapid obstacles, you name it, they got it. Sure, it's hard, but not in a wanting to pull my hair out of my scalp kind of way. It feels like a fair challenge. I died plenty of times in this level, but it never felt like the game's fault. Until it does. Because this isn't just a daytime level. Every now and then you switch to the werehog for its own designated segments, which are alright for the most part, but there's some segments of platforming which are the easiest to show you guys why the lack of drop shadow is a terrible, terrible thing to do when designing a platformer. That mixed with the shitty tightrope segments, and you got yourself a good recipe for— Oh hey look, an hourglass! Sonic Unleashed is so good, I could die! Sonic Unleashed is so bad, I could die. After we find the final temple, Eggman ambushes us with his latest and greatest creation, the Egg Dragoon. Like I said, Eggman doesn't want his plans to fall to ruin, so he built this machine to specifically kill Sonic. Throughout the fight, his dialogue is teetering on insanity much more than usual. This boss has its own music, and it definitely fits Eggman's desperation and rage here. That's all I gotta say about it, really. It's still good though. Mechanically, it's gotta be the best werehog boss. Eggman uses a variety of elemental beams for us to avoid, as well as his massive drill. After each phase, the ground collapses as you're sent down further into the planet, and we need to damage his green glowing headlight so we can discombobulate him.
Hey! Well, wait, stop! No, this is a delicate machine!
If it's a delicate machine, why did you build it for combat? Are you stupid? Afterwards, the true final boss rises from the depths. Dark Gaia takes his energy back from Sonic, completely removing the werehog transformation.
Oh, I've waited a long time for this!
I love how hopeless the situation is. If our heroes fail, the world is over. Even Sonic thinks this might be a little too much for him, but Chip does something, I guess. With his light Gaia power, he summons the 7 temples from across the globe, turning it into a giant Gaia Gundam, and we start the final boss. And it's easily the worst part in the entire game. Eggman Land was amazing. The Egg Dragoon was amazing. But now, we're back to abysmal dog shit. I guess Sonic Team just couldn't help themselves. You have to boost over to Dark Gaia as the Gaia Gundam and dodge his asteroid attacks. When it's impossible to dodge, you're meant to charge up a punch with either trigger, and by golly, I hate it here! The timing feels very awkward, and the Gaia Gundam's movement is incredibly sluggish. Dark Gaia will also occasionally shoot an unavoidable Kamehameha, which you're meant to block with the shoulder buttons and move out of the way to minimize damage taken. It's not as bad as the asteroids, it's just whatever, I guess. One quick time event later, you're sent back to playing as Sonic to damage Dark Gaia's weak spot. These sections are easily the highlight. I'm just glad to be playing as Sonic again, though I really wish they didn't replay the same voice lines after each death.
Sonic, hit Dark Gaia's weak spot, quick, while I hold him back. Chip, you rock! Sonic, hit Dark Gaia's weak spot, quick, while I hold him back. Chip, you rock! Sonic, hit Dark Gaia's weak spot, quick, while I hold him back. Chip, you rock!
But let's put the complaints aside for a brief moment, because I really like the music. It does the same final boss trope of a couple games before it. Phase 1 embodies the desperation of the situation and the sheer power this eldritch horror has. The overly hopeless vibe along with the small motivational bit sound really good. The situation looks dire as the Earth is engulfed in a cloud of purple brap juice. Dark Gaia mutates into a more menacing form, and as per Sonic tradition, he takes the power of the Chaos Emeralds and boosts forward to save the world.
Let's do it!
And it's still fucking terrible. You're meant to boost forward and collect rings to fill your health bar. Afterwards, we don't even fight Dark Gaia, that's reserved for Chip. Sonic's left to fly around like an idiot while destroying these snakes to take out the shield. There is so many ways they could have gone about making this phase more playable. Maybe zoom the camera out further so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Or give me some rings to collect so taking damage wouldn't be much of an issue, which it is because the collision on the rocks is so weird. Or maybe make it so the snakes don't fucking play peekaboo with me. Literally any of these things would be a massive improvement, but as it stands, this is probably the worst Sonic final boss of all time. Worse than the Time Eater. It's completely carried by the music. This is my own hell. I'm struggling through this boss and I'm not having fun. Do you guys have good gameplay? We have hype moments and aura. The last part is a quick time event where Sonic flies into Dark Gaia's arms, which is pretty cool, I guess, and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! So now that Dark Gaia's been put to rest, the whole world cheers in celebration. Eggman finds solace in his designated high-quality patch of dirt, and Chip says his goodbyes to Sonic, fading away before sending him back to the surface. The game comes full circle with Sonic landing face-first into the Apotos grass. And it seems that Chip left Sonic something to remember him by.
Huh?
I'll never forget you. I'll be here by you, always. A part of the earth you tread.
He throws it away in the next game. And the game ends with two tear-jerking vocal themes, starting with Dear My Friend by Brent Cash. Even if their time together was small compared to the internal duty of Light Gaia, Chip has a newfound appreciation of the planet he nurtures thanks to our favorite blue blur.
I will be there if you need me, and I know you'll do the same. I can see you, I can hear you in my heart. You will be here if I need you. I will never have to guess, 'cause we are very special friends.
And of course, the main theme, Endless Possibility by Bowling for Soup. It's everything I could ask for in a Sonic theme song. It's endearingly corny, it's a fast-paced banger, and it's a perfect summary of Sonic's ideals and way of life. One of constantly moving forward and living free. And it helps that I used to hear Bowling for Soup all the time during my childhood. Unfortunately, the original song is copyright protected, so here's the Nathan Sharp cover instead, which is the same level of awesome.
I see it, and now it's all within my reach. Impossibility. I see it now, it's always been inside of me. Now I feel so free, and there's possibility.
So, it's safe to say that this game has a complicated legacy. I struggle to form a concrete opinion on this game for a while now. Hell, I'm struggling just to write it in the script. As a full package, I can say with full confidence that this game is kind of poopy butt cheeks. The abundance of unnecessary bullshit like the weird progression, sun and moon medal requirements, some sections of the gameplay itself not being very polished or fun at all, a shitty God of War ripoff, you get the idea. But on the other hand, this game is home to some of Tomoyo Otani's best work, with almost every music track being a home run. The art direction is the kind of thing I want to see from this series, to which I've talked about in videos before. Vibrant, interesting locations that are a perfect blend of fantastical elements and detailed realism. It burst the 3D boost formula, and while it left some room for improvement, I think it's incredibly fun and does some things that other boost games failed to capture, like the sense of speed and the massive scale each level has, not to mention the shitty ground control is the least offensive here. So yeah, Sonic Unleashed is definitely the most polarizing Sonic game. I don't love this game, but I don't hate it either. But to be fair, I did replay it a couple times and I found myself having less of a hassle the more I played, even during the lowest points. And honestly, I can't bring myself to outright dismiss it as a bad game, since Sonic Adventure is in my top 3 and there's parts of it I definitely hate. I just don't want to feel like a hypocrite, you know? I guess the only thing I can say is that you should all just play it for yourself. If you're looking for a high-speed, action-packed Sonic experience, I highly recommend Sonic Unleashed. But if you're looking for a fluid and stellar hack and slash with smart puzzles, incredible enemy variety, fair difficulty, and tight movement, please, Sonic fans, I am begging you, for the love of God, just play God of War. Just download a PS2 emulator and go from there. These are the best games of all time. I'm begging you, play God of War.